Tons of Steelers news to discuss here today. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you're double tapping that screen, hitting the shit out of that like button for us here. I did make a note. I forgot about doing the setup to get some calls on here through the audio thing. I made myself a note and stuck it here to the computer screen. So we will definitely have that tomorrow. But tomorrow's show, guys, I'm going to caution you. If you're not watching this now, you can watch it later. But tomorrow's show is going to either be far earlier or way later. I think it's going to be way later. It should be about 8:30, and the reason being is I have a playoff game for my youth basketball team that I coach, so I probably won't be on until around 8:15, 8:30ish. So that will be the plan for tomorrow. What's up, Zach Curry, Lindsay C, Daniel Barry Sports, Miss Pittsburgh? What is up, everybody? Wave those terrible towels. Appreciate you so very much. I'm doing okay, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, Lindsay. I hope you're doing well also. But yeah, guys, thank you so very much. Doug P in the house. Daniel Warman in the house. What's up, guys? What's up, Brent in the house? Good to see everybody jumping in here early again. Make sure you're double tapping that screen, hitting the shit out of that like button for us, sending us out to that YouTube algorithm. We truly appreciate it. Again, tons of Steeler news happening. Things are starting to heat up here, guys. And big news is one Bob Labradola. I always butcher his last name. They call him Labs all the time when you see him around the Pittsburgh sports media scene. He reports that the Pittsburgh Steelers and Roman Wilson had a little bit of an issue, and it just wasn't the injury. It just was not the injury, and that Roman Wilson was not able to comprehend the offense enough to be able to earn a helmet for game day. That was one of the major things that held Roman Wilson back, guys. This is not good. For his lack of understanding of the schematics for a offense that is so very basic, an offense that definitely lacked any type of creativity, that lacked any real emphasis on being creative at all. You're behind the eight ball in your learning process, and you're a guy that was injured, and you had a lot of time to be in the books. You had a lot of time to be watching tape. You had a lot of time at your disposal to make the intellectual moves to be able to get onto the football field, and that is highly discouraging coming from Labs. And this once highly promising guy, and I still think he can get there. But man, was this a major step back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they could possibly really need to lean on Roman Wilson in 2025, depending on how this all takes place here this offseason, how this offseason unfolds, and what they are able to add to that wide receiver room through the draft, through free agency. Roman Wilson could be a guy that is heavily leaned upon and really needed. Third round pick, guys. A guy that it's not unreasonable to sit here and act like, we should expect him to be playing, especially in year two. A guy that we should be really expecting to take a jump at the wide receiver spot, because, again, this offense isn't that complex. I'm not sure why he fell behind there. Is that a lack of effort on Roman Wilson's part? Is that something that falls on the coaches? According to Mike Tomlin, a guy that gave a lot of praise to Coach Z, man. Zach Azzani got a lot of praise from Mike Tomlin about his work with Roman Wilson, talking about he worked his ass off with Roman Wilson this season. So where does the blame lie here, guys? That's the big question. And does it matter who they bring in? Is this going to be an issue? Do you have a lot of now worry with Coach Z? Is that where you're putting this? Or do you just put this on Roman and say, buddy, you got to take some accountability for yourself. You got to be able to get in the film room. And again, we talked about it so much yesterday, what a special characteristic of a football player is, and that's his ability to get in the lab, man, and really dissect film, really study and understand the system, understand your opponent. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to be successful, especially a guy that's undersized. Size doesn't mean shit, man. All these measurables in Indianapolis don't mean shit. And guys, this is the truth. All the numbers that they're putting on that paper don't mean shit to you. What matters is how these guys play football, how these guys approach work each and every day. Are they busting their ass in the film room? Are they busting their ass studying, understanding the playbook, both defensively, offensively, whatever? Are these guys doing those things? And how do they play football? What does the tape look like when you turn it on college Saturdays? What does that tape look like? How do they play the game? I don't give a shit how far you can jump or how high you can jump or how fast you can run a 40. None of those things really truly matter. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's nice. You want to know these guys have that athletic intangible? Yes, absolutely. But does it really matter when it's coming down to who you're going to pick? No, I want to be able to turn the tape on, and when a guy is playing football, not shorts and doing workouts, this ain't Richard Simmons sweating to the fucking oldies. I don't care about all that shit. I want to know when you are inside of a football helmet, what can you do? And I need to see some tape, man. I need to see how you act during the game, how you present yourself each and every snap. That's what I'm looking at. What's up, TD? Danny George in the house. Brent, sounds like the Bills with Elam. Dude is just a bust for a first-round pick. Our fifth rounder in the same draft got the spot. Again, Brent, you bring up a good point. Everybody in the NFL is so good, guys. That's why I talk about all the things that people don't talk about. And people may say I'm corny or I don't know what I'm talking about. Bullshit. These things, when you're dealing with a bunch of good athletes, the things that matter are the film study, are the integrity, are how they work their ass off. And man, are they just good football players when you turn on that tape. That's what you're looking for. I think teams get blinded, guys, by a super fast 40 time, a monster broad jump. They go out there in football or in shorts and they run these routes and man, they're stellar. They're catching shit all over the place. They're doing it. What happens when you turn on the tape? What happens when you get them inside of that interview room and you tell them, I don't want to hear your rehearsed bullshit answers that your agent rehearsed with you. I want to hear about you. I want to talk about you. I want to hear you. I want to know you. Guys, these are the things that matter, man. These are the things that matter. Look back in the day. Just take a player like Doug Flutie, for instance. Every GM, every coach in the NFL said that guy couldn't make it, that he was nothing, that he wasn't nothing. What happens? He goes and spends 12 years in Canada, comes back and lights it up for your Buffalo Bills, Brent. Flutie flakes. Full effect, my friend. That's an example of the evaluation and the heavy emphasis on the combine, on just some intangible that doesn't really matter when it comes to playing football. Yes, athletic ability is key. We get that. But you don't make it to this level unless you are a phenomenal fucking athlete, guys. Period. That's the reality. And these GMs, they got to open their eyes. Wipe your eyes, man. Wake up. Look for the things that matter. Take into accountability the things that are going to get your football team to kiss the Sticky Lombardi trophy. That's what you're looking for, guys. That's the thing. Or the things. Doug P, some people just aren't bright and can't get it. Had a few guys on my high school team that just couldn't get it. Absolutely. And Doug, when you're talking about that, people that just can't get it, that's something else, guys. You know, people want to always say that Wonderlic test is stupid. And yeah, I think they could come up with something a little bit better to gauge intelligence, because I don't give a shit about superior intellectual things. I give a shit understanding of the playbook, things of that nature, your ability to learn something you love. Because, guys, let's face this. If I don't like math, I'm not going to learn math. If I don't like science, I'm not going to learn science. But if I love football, and that's what I want to do, and that's what I care about, and that's all I want to do, I'm going to be able to learn it. And do you love football that way? That should be the number one question that a general manager and a head coach and an organization as a whole look at when they're looking at a player. Do you love this game more than anything? Is this your passion? Is this game above everything in your life? And if that answer to that question is yes, you got your guy. You got your guy. I'm just telling you guys. And again, a lot of people are going to say that sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. And that's fine. But if I were a general manager, these are the things that I'd be looking for. All right, guys, make sure you're double tapping that screen. We're a little over 10 minutes into the best show on YouTube. That's right here. That's Steel City Live, only on Mic Drop Sports. Brought to you every single day here on the channel. I'm your host, Jason, as always. Let's keep going down through the chats. Daniel Warman, who makes the Hall of Fame first, TJ Watt or Russell Wilson? Well, Russell Wilson, of course, in my opinion, Daniel, just because he will be out of the league before TJ Watt, barring injuries or anything crazy, but just the time factor. Jamal McCullum, thanks, bro. I needed that laugh, but you're right. None of that matters. 40 times in bench reps. Facts. Yeah, it's tough, man, to just sit there and put your sole ability to love that player into a bunch of numbers. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense to me, guys. And we have gotten to that analytical world. In all of sport, we have gotten to all analytics, and I love analytics because there is a place for analytics, but it can't be above some of the other factors that meant so much throughout the years, that meant so much when you were finding good players, and we've got away from that. Take the Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, of the 1970s. When you had Bill Nunn and you had Chuck Noll and you had those guys building that football team, they looked for some things that just weren't about athletic ability. They looked for a lot of different things. And guys, yes, being a freak athlete fucking helps. No doubt about that. But they looked for a lot more, and it showed on the football field. Flutie didn't have all the physical traits. He was smart, kind of like Montana. Yeah, and he played his ass off. When he put a football helmet on, his size didn't matter. He was something different. Robert Rodenhouse, some guys play fast even when they test as slow. Jerry Rice ran a 4.65 40-yard dash, but in pads, almost no one caught him from behind. Other guys play super slow versus what they run in shorts. Absolutely. Prime example, Robert. No doubt about it. Even when I was a young kid playing football and practice and just running around with my friends, I never felt fast. But when I got that football in my hands, there was just this different gear that you hit. And not wanting to be hit helps also. When you take off and you're out of town, baby, I'm gone. Because I don't want you to hit me. I'm going, baby. But when I was a little kid, I felt that. I felt that just weird thing that's inside of you that you could just hit that other gear inside of a football game. All right, guys, again, double tap that screen. Send us out to that YouTube algorithm. We're always chasing 100 likes here on the live stream. Tons of Steelers news. We just broke down a little bit of what Roman Wilson had going on, just not the injury, my friends. The inability to comprehend a very, very, very pedestrian offense within the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is scary to think of, guys, and it's not very hopeful for the future. But again, I really have high hopes. I think Roman Wilson will be able to get it done, and I hope it's just a little bit of a rookie hiccup, just coming into money, just coming into fame, people all around you. Maybe that distracted him a little bit. Maybe he gets back on track and gets this thing rolling. All right, guys, again, double tap that screen. We got to hit the shit out of that like button. That's the reason I keep this show absolutely ad-free, but you guys got to help me by double tapping the screen. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We truly appreciate that. Well, yeah, you can see. Kit, Hoosier, we did that. Mendy, hello, I'm from Israel, and I really thank you. I appreciate that, Mendy. Thank you, and welcome from Israel. Jamal says some of the best receivers run 4.6, and that's not fast. Where was I? That's not fast for a receiver, but if it can catch and run, if you can catch and run routes, that means everything. Abso-freaking-lutely, Jamal. Too evil, too hope. Oh, you're too good to me, too evil, too hope, man. Another super chat from one of ours. Too evil, too hope says, I'm glad Steelers leadership is finally recognizing Tomlin moving into his coaching prime. He needs to be given a fair chance. Bring back Pickett. Kitten Mittens, get Kitten Mittens back in the house. Mike Tomlin's finally, after 18 years, just hitting his stride, baby. Time is now for Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. Oh, that was a good one, Too Evil, Too Hope. You must have rehearsed that all day to get that one. I love that. Good one, brother. Thank you again for the super chat, my friend. Sleep Lady. Hello, everyone. Have a blessed day. Mendy, we did Mendy from Israel. It's so awesome to have somebody from Israel, man. I think that's a first. I don't think we had anybody from Israel yet. We've had people from many other countries, but Israel, that's a first. Sleeping Lady, we need pros. I remember seeing Polamalu coming into camp. You could tell he was a smart guy who was approaching his job like a professional. Absolutely, Sleeping Lady. You need to see that. You have to see that. And again, like Too Evil, Too Hope said, Mike Tomlin's just hitting his prime. Now, couple that with some smart players, we might be fucking rolling, baby. We might be cooking with bacon. But hey, we'll see how this all unfolds, man. Yeah, you want to see that. And you can tell the guys out there that work harder than everybody else. You can tell the guys that football means everything because they take it as their real job. It's not just a bunch of snot-nosed idiots that are too big for their own good. You know, their ego's so damn big they can't help themselves but be a fucking idiot. That's the trouble with pro sports. Some of these guys need to really watch back their interviews and things of that nature after a game. The lack of intelligence, the way they talk, the way they just act like idiots, the way they act so conceited in the thought process of that we actually give a shit about their social stances. Like, play ball, baby. Focus on studying the X's and O's. That's all we give a shit about. We don't give a shit about anything else, man. That's all we care about. We want you to go out there, and when we talk in the media needs not to ask any personal questions. They don't need to ask them anything else. They need to ask them about X's and freaking O's, baby. That's all that we want to hear about. Daniel Warman, in all the years I followed the Bengals, the only free agent that panned out was Trey Hendrickson. They signed players who hurt them in the previous year. And that's a big problem with a lot of franchises, Daniel, and it's just not a Bengals issue. It's an issue that's plagued tons of teams across the league, man. Free agency is something that could kill you if you don't get it right, you know? You can make some big blunders in free agency by overspending, putting a little bit too much into a player that you feel is already established. Maybe perhaps your medical team isn't precise enough and overlooks an injury that causes you to lose a lot of guaranteed money to a player that's injured when they come into the building and they don't really get any production out of. Free agency is a very tricky animal that you really have to be attentive to if you're a franchise of any sport. Any type of free agency, any type of player acquisition from outside of your organization that's a veteran of your league is a very, very tricky thing, and you can easily screw yourself. Sleeping Lady, glad to see Kitten Mittens get his participation award. Yeah, man, I'm glad. They should have brought them all out into the center of the field. All the guys that just got a participation trophy, gave them their orange slices and their granola bar and their freaking little hug jug and said, congratulations, guys. You did such a great job standing there doing absolutely fucking nothing. Za Curry in the house. What's up, Za? I heard the Steelers are leaning more towards signing Justin Fields, which they should logically speaking. Actually, Za, that's not the case. You're hearing something that I heard a different thing, and we will jump to that here now. It was something that I wanted to do something else in between, but we will go back to a conversation about Cameron Johnston from Nick Faraball from Penn Live. I was on a show with him over at Big B's place, Steelers Almighty. You can go back and watch that show. But I want to talk about an article he talked about with the Steelers punter. But we will move into what an article I read today from Jarrett Bailey from SB Nation, Behind the Steel Curtain. Jarrett Bailey put out there that the Pittsburgh Steelers ownership prefers Russell Wilson and that there has been an offer made to Russell Wilson, and all that there is now is just waiting for Russell Wilson to either accept or decline that offer. Basically telling us that that is where the Steelers lie. The Steelers ownership prefers Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. And now it makes you wonder, was it all just a Tomlin thing after the 4-2 start? Or was the Pittsburgh Steelers organization as a whole so overly ready to get rid of Justin Fields out of that starter's role for Russell Wilson and that they had no hope in Justin Fields? Now, what is the difference here? Say Jarrett Bailey's report is accurate. According to Bailey, ownership is pushing this and has given an offer to Wilson, and it's just a matter of Wilson taking it or not. What does that mean for the Steelers, guys? Again, I'm not reporting that. That's from Jarrett Bailey from Behind the Steel Curtain, SB Nation. That is not a report from me. This is a report that was from somebody else out of Indianapolis, put onto their website. Again, how does this play out for the Pittsburgh Steelers? One being financial. That's the first and foremost part of this equation. Will Russell Wilson be willing to come into the Pittsburgh Steelers organization and take less money? Because I believe that signing Russell Wilson would mean more money that the Pittsburgh Steelers have to spend in free agency and apply to the quarterback position as opposed to applying it in other places to build this roster for the future. So if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, is Russell Wilson a guy that would be willing to take less to get more weapons, to get more help around him? Maybe. Russell Wilson is a very wealthy man, but the question remains, can Russell Wilson do the things that are necessary inside of an Arthur Smith offense to get the job done? Because many inside of the building in Pittsburgh thought that Arthur Smith would really prefer a more mobile guy in Justin Fields due to the way his offense is very run-centric, very run-heavy. So would Arthur Smith really want this? That's another question that has to be asked. But guess what? I don't know if it matters. When the ownership, maybe the head coach, maybe the general manager, when those heads all come together and they make a decision, that's how it's going to be, no matter what. But here's the thing. You're going to spend more with Russ. And can he get it done the way you want him to get it done? Because the middle of the field was absolutely neglected. And according to this report also that the Steelers were very, very intrigued with the moon ball, the deep pass from Russell Wilson, and that is really what tips the scales toward Russell Wilson as opposed to Justin Fields. Well, my friends, we neglected a part of the field that the Steelers should be ultra productive in, considering the personnel set that they have available to them. They weren't even utilizing guys like Calvin Austin that are super speedy, putting him in space with drag routes, quick outs to the sideline, quick ins from the slot position, quick slants and things of that nature. They weren't utilizing that. They weren't utilizing a guy that they just paid a grip of money to in one Pat Freiermuth at the tight end position. That's an issue. They have to be able to get these guys involved. You have Darnell Washington, who's absolute freak of fucking nature, but yet was very limited in his production. Then you look at some of the things that the Steelers did. They played McCole Pruitt over some of these players at time. Was that just a coaching blunder in personnel? There are a lot of factors at play here, but Russell Wilson leaves a lot of question marks. He started out quick, but once the competition got heated up a little bit and the competition was better, he seemed to stumble and the production went down and he seemed to flounder in big moments. And that's not something the Steelers can afford moving forward. So it's definitely something that has to be talked about. And Zah says there that he sees reports saying the Steelers are leaning towards Field. I see this report saying the Steelers ownership is leaning more toward Russell Wilson and that they already put an offer in. And that they are basically just kind of him dicking around, waiting for Russell Wilson to say yay or nay. I know all the bullshit of legal tampering. They can't do. They do what they want. They've been talking to people since the end of the season. But which one makes sense, guys? And in my eyes, I think it's Justin Fields again for many reasons that I've already listed to you several times. So I think Russell Wilson will require more money, and I think he will limit your ability to build this football team moving into 2026 when I think that you could actually have a real shot at going into the draft and finding your franchise guy. What Russell Wilson does bring is that veteran presence that perhaps if you get a third or fourth round quarterback, maybe you end up with a guy like a Jackson Dart or a Howard or somebody. Maybe you end up with one of those guys. Maybe Russell Wilson can mentor those guys until they get their opportunity. But Russell Wilson doesn't miss many games with injury. He did this year, but that's a very rare thing. But he is getting older, so perhaps that opportunity would come sooner rather than later for somebody young if they were able to take this year, this offseason with Russ and understand his work ethic and things of that nature. Maybe he gets a young guy on track. Maybe that is the way the Steelers go. But I have to say this. You're not giving up picks for Russell Wilson. So if you're going to bring one of these older Band-Aid quarterbacks back to the franchise, you don't go out there and you don't trade away draft capital for these guys. Bringing Russell Wilson would be a logical choice. Why? Because you're not giving away any type of significant capital in terms of the draft. So if that is your plan, if you are the Steelers and that's what the ownership does want to do, then so be it. But that's the only path that makes sense. I don't think that he's going to require a $50 million a year salary. I don't even think it'll hit 40. I think Russell Wilson would be so inclined to go between 20 and 25 million per season. And I know that may sound crazy to some of you, but I think Russell Wilson is smart enough to understand that the more money that can be spent to get him weapons gives him a better opportunity to succeed in this league and finalize and bookend a Hall of Fame type career for Russell Wilson, to where maybe you might question his Hall of Fame status now, and then if he did succeed with the Steelers, there would be no question in whether or not he finishes his career and ends up in Canton, Ohio. That's the thing Russell Wilson probably has running through his head right now. Also, he's got a bigger family now. Sierra and Russ, they have several children. You know, moving every single year isn't something that they're probably interested in doing. And I'm not saying they stay in Pittsburgh full time, but they need a routine. And changing that routine all the time probably isn't something that they're interested in. So I think definitely that would cause him to take maybe a little bit less money just to stay in the routine. And I'm not saying that he lives in Pittsburgh full time because he probably doesn't. But hey. A lot of factors there, guys. A lot of factors. All right, guys, we're about 30 minutes into the show. Make sure you are beating the shit out of that like button. I truly appreciate it. Send us out to that YouTube algorithm. We're always trying to chase 100 likes here on the live stream. So much to talk about here today. We've already dove into the Roman Wilson news that he is a fucking dumbass, according to Bob Labriola. And then we dove into the article that Jarrett Bailey from Steel Curtain Network, or Behind the Steel Curtain, whatever, from that website put out there about the Steelers ownership leaning toward one Russell Wilson. Next, we're going to dive into an article from Penn Live's own Nick Farabaugh, a really good Steelers beat writer. Working for Penn Live, definitely check out his stuff. I feel like he's definitely pretty good at what he does. We're going to dive into an article there. Let me catch up a little bit in the chat. Aaron Dillon, what's up? Another Wombat in the house to cope about Kenny. The picket is real. Where was that? Is so real. Ganja King B. Texas dude had a meeting. Jamal Y. Lindsay C. I really hope not. But Russ is a Tomlin guy. Robert Road. Sometimes when you sign a free agent, you are signing another team's problems. It is hard to build much of a roster when too many players are brought in from other teams. Absolutely, Robert. We're going to talk about that comment. Another super chat just coming in from S. Dresden. Steeler Nation is Michael Corleone. Art 2 is Fredo. Tomlin is Mo Green. If you haven't watched those movies, you really need to watch the Godfather trilogy, I believe. There are several movies with the Godfather, and definitely a good analogy by Dresden there. Thank you, S. Dresden, for the super chat. Much appreciated, guys. And those super chats are always open. Usually read down through the comments in order. And if you want your comment read quickly, super chats are always open. I do notice those right away, and definitely shout you out there and give you a quick answer to your comment. But definitely a great analogy. Tomlin is Mo Green. That's kind of crazy. But how Mo Green end up? He ended up on that massage table with a not so favorable outcome. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to get demonetized here. But hey, guys, I don't put ads in here because I rely on you guys to hit that like button and do these super chats. So definitely I don't put ads inside of this live stream so you guys don't get interrupted. But great analogy by Dresden. The Steelers Nation, we are Michael Corleone. We need that cigarette Michael always had hanging out. Yeah, baby. We need it. I love it. Good shit, Dresden. Thank you, brother. Again, guys, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. It is right here. Mike Drop Sports and the show Steel City live each and every day for you. I got to change my camera back to the tripod so it doesn't bounce. I like it being here because I can see it and I have easy access, and the computer's right here, but I got to switch it. The Steelers are ducked if they sign Russell Wilson. He meant bleep. But yeah, and Danny George said, if I was the GM, I'd sign Mason Rudolph back to back up Justin. Mason's under contract, so you can't, but that would be, I like Mason. I always have, Danny. You know my feelings about Mason. You're a longtime listener here, so you know exactly what my feelings are about Mason Rudolph, and I did think he got a raw deal. But what Robert Rhodes' comment when he said, when you bring in other teams' issues, it's hard to build much of a roster, the bulk of a roster out of free agency. That is hard, guys. You see teams in all of professional sport try to make these super teams, and they use free agency, and they use trades, and they bring in outside players that are already established, and they try to create a super team. They try to create a unit that is full of personality, full of established guys, and sometimes that doesn't work because of just that. Sometimes you are bringing in issues that you're not aware of. And that's why the Steelers have had success over the years. And I know the Steelers have had rough patches. However, most franchises do. Most franchises have a lot more rough patches than the Pittsburgh Steelers do. I know we complain about it, but it is what it is. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have primarily done business doing what, my friends? Building through the draft. That is how they've attacked building their roster over the years, and it has proved to be far better than overspending and overreaching inside of free agency. That just proved, they have proved it over and over again that the true measure of a good football team is how well you're able to draft. How many draft picks are you able to hit on each and every season? And I want to caution fans that that is something that they have to be looking at. Take a look at the last 3 or 4 drafts prior to the season that you are about to embark on as a fan with your favorite football team. Look at those drafts and look at the players that were taken inside of those drafts. and look at how they've progressed and look at their numbers and look at how they've grown over the seasons that they've been with the football team. How much promise? How many of those guys are still around? How many of those guys are contributing? That will tell a lot of the tell of how the season's going to go. Definitely so. So you need to pay attention to that in a big way if you are a fan. Another super chat coming in. AM. Hi from Scotland. I really enjoy listening to you. Get yourself a beer. Thank you so very much. That is somebody from Scotland, and that is somebody from Israel already today. So absolutely amazing that we've got to reach out to people all across the globe, man, here at Mic Drop Sports, and we truly value you and appreciate you. And thank you so very much, AM, for the super chat. Very much appreciated, my friend. And it's really cool. It catches me off guard when you put the super chat in and it doesn't have the dollar bill sign. It says euros. So I always am like, oh shit, where's that person from? Because that's really cool to see. You don't get that every day here. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you so very much. And definitely when you go have your beer, make sure you tune us in. We'll sit and bullshit football and have a beer together. But thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. So let's keep going back through the chat. Another Wombat in the house. Kenny Pickett hasn't been on a team for over a year, and he still lives rent-free. I'm happy he won, backup or not. He does live rent-free in a lot of people's heads, man. Guys, I really don't think of Kenny Pickett unless you guys bring him up. And when you do bring him up, it's my job here to talk about him. So, yeah, Kenny Pickett is a guy that, honestly, friends, I could care less what happens. I know his potential as a quarterback in this league, and I don't think he's going to be anybody's franchise guy. And if he has a happy career as a second, third string guy in Philadelphia, his hometown team, his true hometown team, enjoy yourself. God bless you. Best of luck. Enjoy your life, man. Kenny Kitten Mittens, though, does live rent-free, just like another Wombat said, in our minds each and every single day. And why is that? It's because the Steelers took that guy with the 20th overall selection in the first round of the draft, and people had high hopes for him. However, I did too. I had high hopes for him. I wanted him to do really well. But guess what, guys? I was a realist also, and I understood that Kenny being taken at 20 and how he was overlooked by a lot of quarterback-hungry teams, quarterback-starving teams. Yeah, it is what it is. You kind of knew what was going to happen. All right, guys, double tap that screen, hit that like button, send us out to that YouTube algorithm. We are always chasing 100 likes here on a live stream. So double tap that screen. It's absolutely free. I go down through the list of the comments. If I get to you, I get to you. If not, the super chats are open. If you want your comment, question, or concern, or you just want to help out the channel, super chats are always open and much appreciated to the people that have already donated with super chats. Thank you so very much. Let's keep going. Ganja King B. We need to draft a quarterback. Enough Band-Aids. Absolutely, you're correct in your assessment, Ganja King. Without a doubt, they need a quarterback. But 2025 isn't the year of the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. And I know you guys want them to go out there and make some crazy deal. And sometimes I love crazy deals, but right now it doesn't make sense. You got to look at how much they would have to give up in order to come from a playoff spot in the draft. That's where they're going to be positioned. And then they're going to come in and have to drive themselves up the whole way up into that top 10. And that's not even guaranteeing you're going to get anybody of high quality. Where the Steelers are right now is they got to stand pat. If not, trade back even if you need to gain more capital. It's all about gaining draft capital for 2026 and drafting the best players available here in 2025. Getting yourself skill position players that can make a difference makers on the football field. And I don't want to Band-Aid either this quarterback position, but you're going to have to Band-Aid it for another year. The quarterback class is not deep enough to move up and grab somebody. However, there are some very interesting guys that I believe you can get from the early second to the middle of the third or perhaps early fourth round. Guys that I think could potentially make a splash in this league. I think Jackson Dart could be a real baller in this league. I think Howard could be a real baller out of Ohio State. I think there's several guys that you have listed that could really be guys that if given the correct opportunity, could really make some big moves, guys. Let's keep going. Danny George, we did that. The Steelers, we did that. Another one back, we did that. Gunja Brent, Russ has been washed since beast mode retirement. Russ has put up decent numbers. I don't know if I'd call him washed, but he's definitely regressed, Brent. No doubt about that. Aaron Jade in the house. Here we go, Steelers. Danny George, Rudolph isn't a starter, but he could get you out of a stadium with a win. I love the way he played, Danny. You know that, brother. He can get you out of a stadium, and he can light up a fucking scoreboard if given the opportunity. And he did that with a pathetic, pedestrian Steelers offense last season. Not 2024, 2023. He lit it up those final 3 games with a horrible Pittsburgh Steelers schematic game plan for an ultra-conservative head coach in Mike Tomlin. Mason Rudolph was able to do it, guys, and I think a lot of that's discounted, especially with the coaching that's in place still and was in place at that time. All right, guys, while I'm getting this drink, double tap that screen. It's absolutely free to hit the shit out of that like button for us here on Steel City Live. Jamal says Russ is done. Earl says we could draft a quarterback, but they are all garbage. I don't think that's true. They could. I don't think they're all garbage, man. I love Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur is going to do really special things inside of the NFL. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I love the way Shedeur Sanders handles himself. A great young man, in my opinion. Young man that can be ultra conceited, ultra asshole, but he doesn't come off as that. I think that, young man has been raised right inside his faith, inside of his knowledge to really bust his ass, and that you got to work for this shit. It doesn't just come easy, guys. And again, that is the variable we talked about yesterday and at the beginning of the show. Work. And if you're not doing that every single day, you're not going to succeed in this league, guys. Pay attention to how these guys act, man. Are you seeing them on fucking, what's the thing, where they, paparazzi's taking pictures? Are you seeing these guys out all over town, jacking around, every night, always in the media? If that's the answer, you probably know they ain't working hard. They probably ain't going, all in on it. Another super chat coming in. Another Wombat says, I don't think there are any day one starters, but can Tomlin develop a quarterback? Sanders and Ward needed development as well. They definitely all need development. I don't think there's a quarterback inside of the 2025 draft, another Wombat, that doesn't require extreme development. I'm being honest about that. But I do think that there's some guys that definitely could contribute down the road, and I think that there are some mid-round talents, or early second, late second type guys that definitely can contribute. Again, I love Jackson Dart. I keep saying that. I don't think he's a day one starter, though, either. Shedeur, I don't think he's a day one starter. I think he's a guy that needs to be cultivated. And the other question inside of your super chat, which I truly appreciate, is can Tomlin develop that quarterback? And that's an answer none of us can give. Why? Because we've never seen him do it. And did he have an opportunity with Mason Rudolph to do so? Absolutely. Missed. Didn't do it. Well, ignored it. So we really don't know. We never got to see Mason in a real, this is your team type role. So we don't know if that ever worked. We got to see small sample sizes, and sometimes Mason wowed us. Sometimes he made us go, what the hell's he doing? But definitely we can't take Mason Rudolph and say to ourselves, can Mike Tomlin, or did Mike Tomlin and his coaching staff develop that quarterback properly? We can't answer that there. And we have really no other example except for Kenny, and Kenny is out of town. So if we were to bunch those two guys together, the answer would probably be no, but we can't give a definitive answer because we've never really seen it get that full growth period. And that's the issue here right now. That's where I really get hung up on Mike Tomlin and can he develop a quarterback. But that absolutely, man, I agree. I don't think there's any real day one slam dunk starters either. But thank you, another Wombat for a super chat. Another super chat coming in from S. Dresden, his second super chat of the night. Dart and Sanders will do well as professionals. The Steelers are gun shy because of Pickett. I don't know if they're gun shy. Yeah, you might be right. That's a good thing to think about. Are they gun shy because of Kenny Pickett and the way that they wanted him to develop? But you got to look at Kenny Pickett's tools. Again, guys, many teams bypassed him and didn't take him. So what would have put that in the Pittsburgh Steelers' head that they had to grab Kenny Pickett at, 20? What would have made them think, man, this guy's probably a steal. I don't know. If everybody's passing on that guy early, you could have probably waited to the second round and got Kenny Pickett, and not put the expectations of a first round talent on him. You had the other quarterback in that draft. His name's slipping my mind. The guy that went to Tennessee. I can't think of his name. But he was connected to the Steelers also. Man, why is his name slipping me? But anyway, I don't know if they're gun shy, but I'm just not sure that Mike Tomlin and this coaching staff over the years as a whole, I'm talking everybody that's been in there here over these last several years, I'm not sure if their quarterback evaluations have been very good. I'm not sure if they have a good eye for that. And I think that their system lacks creativity, that you're really never going to see anybody develop into some type of crazy monster statistical quarterback, because of the lack of schematic creativity. And again, it's a very conservative game plan wheeled out there every single year by Mike Tomlin, guys. And that's something that we've seen over and over. So are you going to see a young quarterback go out there and really light it up? No. Rewind to Ben Roethlisberger. He wasn't a guy that lit it up a ton when he was a rookie, but he was a guy that was able to hit the big moments, a guy that was able to hit the splash plays. And you hear Mike Tomlin talk about that all the time. We want guys to make splash plays. We want guys to come up in the big moments. Well, it's hard when you can't set up those big moments. It's hard when you're so predictable that those moments can't be set up and that they're so few and far between. It's very, very difficult. And I think a lot of this has to lay on the feet of this coaching staff. And yes, some of the players weren't as good as we would have hoped. Some of the players that were brought in or at the quarterback position have been flops, no doubt about it. I mean, we've lived now through the Mason, the Devlin Duck Hodges days, the Mitchell Trubisky days, the Kenny Pickett days, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger, just here in this last little bit of Steelers history. So it's very difficult to say, but the Pittsburgh Steelers really got to question how they're evaluating, and the previous comment from another Wombat, how they're developing, because I don't think that we could give a clear-cut answer. And if we had to give an answer today, that you were forcing me to give an answer, I would say that they aren't very good at developing and evaluating quarterback talent at all. So it's definitely a very tumultuous situation that the Pittsburgh Steelers find themselves in when we're talking about the quarterback spot. All right, guys, we're about 50 minutes into the best show on YouTube. That's right here. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. They are always open, guys. Get your comment read quickly. By doing that, it helps support the show. But there is a free way to support the show, and that is by double tapping that screen, hitting that like button, or hitting the three little white dots up in the right-hand corner of your screen. Let's keep going through the chat. Like I always do, guys, I read straight down through it. Oh, hold on one second. Another super chat coming in from S. Dresden. The problem is focusing on splash and not consistency, in my opinion. And let me get a drink. I'm going to answer that. Thank you for your third super chat, man, of the day. We appreciate that so very much. Very, very much appreciated. What you're talking about, the overemphasis and focusing on splash, I think you're right. I think your opinion and your assessment of that is accurate. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin right now. Mike Tomlin wants to beat your ass in the ground game. He wants to be the most physical team out there, and that's all he wants to hear. That's everything. That's it. That is the end-all be-all for him. He wants to beat you with an ultra-conservative game plan that doesn't put the quarterback in a position to where they are out there risking catastrophe, risking mistake. They don't want to do some of the things that would perhaps put you behind the eight ball. But Mike Tomlin, in his infinite wisdom and his simple mind, doesn't understand that sometimes when you're ultra conservative, you put yourself behind the eight ball because you're not willing to adjust. You're not willing to attack. You're not willing to do the things necessary to stop the bleeding. Once a team starts to figure you out and you're starting to get hit, you're starting to get gashed, you're not able to stop them on defense. Your defense is out on the field for many minutes, overused, tired, and you're not doing the things necessary there even. You're still refusing to bring any sort of numbers in terms of pass rush. You don't have any creativity there. You're lining up and expecting 3 or 4 guys down in, down out without any type of blitzing to go out there and get an effective, pass rush. So they're not even creative there, and they have star talent there. T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick, Patrick Queen, Joey Porter Jr., Deshaun Elliott, just to name a few guys. And they have some speed there, and they didn't even utilize it. Peyton Wilson, super speedy. Nick Herbig, super speedy. Alex Highsmith, excellent. Didn't utilize those guys in the proper way. But when we're talking offense, Mike Tomlin just wants to see those splash plays here and there. But other than that, he wants to run the ball on first, second, and third down. Get himself behind the eight ball until it's too late. And Mike Tomlin has to understand that the scheme and the way you set up the offense, that's how those splash plays happen. You have to set those up. They just don't occur. You gotta take your approach to offensive football and say to yourself, this is a chess match. We're not playing checkers. In chess, you got to do what, guys? You got to be 3 or 4 moves ahead of your opponent. And that is the exact same thing with offensive football. You have to be thinking to yourself, this play that I'm about to run right now, is that play going to set me up 3 or 4 plays from now to be able to do something that I want to do? That's the real question here, guys. Lindsay C. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. Just donated 5 Mike Drop Sports memberships. Thank you so much. D got one. What's up, D? John Pell got one. Wesley Boyd got one. Alan Dennison got one. And Mark Stewart. Welcome to the Mike Drop Mafia. Appreciate you guys. That's 99 cents a month. Always will be 99 cents a month. Never will change, no matter if there's 1 million subscribers or 10. It will always be 99 cents a month. Thank you to one of our loyal listeners, somebody that's been with us for a very long time, Lindsay C. Thank you so very much. And absolutely, Lindsay, moonball with 1 receiver. So yeah, guys, what we were talking about, you have to utilize that offensive game plan and set yourself up. This is chess, not checkers. We're talking the NFL level here, guys. All right, guys, again, double tap that screen. Appreciate all the super chats so far tonight. If you want to get your comment read quickly, that's how you do it. Otherwise, I'm just going right down through the list and being fair to everybody. Russ is done from Jamal. We could draft Lindsay C. Moonball with 1 receiver. Jamal Will Howard, as soon as there wasn't a competition, Russ went downhill. We all want Justin Fields, but Tomlin is afraid of having a losing season. Competition does breed, I think, more effort, more ability to go out there and play a little bit crazier than you normally would. Definitely. Competition is key, guys. And that's another reason why I say depth is so important. You want guys battling at practice every single day for that position. You want to be in a way that, as a head coach, you want your roster to be set up like, hey, man, these guys are going to go all out each and every day, man. They are going to go at each other's throat, and that guy wants to start. You want to think to yourself, if this guy gets injured, the next guy that comes in here, will he ever give that spot up? That's the type of shit you want, guys. Yeah, Dresden attempting to throw the ball. Absolutely. My shit moved, man. There we are. Wave that terrible towel for Miss Pittsburgh. Let's go, Steelers Nation. Subscribe to the best show in the nation. It's right here. Yes, this is the best show inside of Steelers Nation. Absolutely. All right, let's keep going, guys. We did Mike Cano. Yo, what college team do you go for? I really don't watch college, but it's Pitt. Zach Curry, please know with Russ, we don't need retirement players. Yeah, Deshaun Elliott hit it on the head earlier this season. Keep those guys in a retirement home. Tim Manto in the house from, I believe you're from Canada, right, Tim? Would you draft a quarterback like Will Howard or another quarterback between if he's available in the 4th or 5th round? Absolutely, I would. And I think the Steelers will, guys. Absolutely. D1 Manny, as a Lions fan, what Steelers news is there for this offseason? Tons, baby, tons. They do not draft well any longer. Yeah, I think that Omar Khan's definitely upped the draft game. I think that he's done really well, guys. Guys like Peyton Wilson were real steals where he got them. Getting Zach Frazier in that draft in the 2nd round was an absolute steal. I don't know how teams overlooked it. I told you all last summer who the best center in the draft was, and he proved that on the field this year. I don't know what some of these talent evaluators are looking at. Oh, I know. Numbers and bullshit. That the intangibles that doesn't matter when it comes to playing football. I want to see a guy that has experience and is ready to come to play football from the college level. A guy that when I turn on their tape that I say in my head, that's a ball player, baby. They can play. They got some heart. They're going to go at you. They got good technique. They're a football player. They care about football. All right, guys, again, I wanted to talk about, before we run out of time tonight, I wanted to talk about an article from Nick Faribault from Penn Live. If you don't know who Nick is, go over to Penn Live. Check out his Steelers content. He's definitely somebody good and reputable that you can rely on for Steelers news. He had an article about Cameron Johnston, the Steelers punter, that was injured in week 1 in Atlanta with a multi-ligament knee injury, multi-ligament tear, and definitely a horrific, devastating injury that Cameron Johnston suffered. And it was one in which the hurt for the Pittsburgh Steelers, considering they signed him from a 3-year deal, on a 3-year deal in the offseason, somebody they had really high hopes for. What's up, Sean? But definitely somebody that they didn't want to lose. Thankfully, Corliss Waitman was able to come in and provide a stellar season, a very productive season for your Pittsburgh Steelers. The left-handed punter really had it going on. And if Cameron Johnston isn't available for the regular season or to start the regular season next year or next season in 2025 here, I believe if Corliss Waitman is available, which he put a hell of an audition tape out there, guys, for anybody else that, was thinking about signing him. If he's available, he will be the first choice of the Pittsburgh Steelers to bring him in. What's up, TD? But the Steelers want Cameron Johnston to get going here. They love that guy. He had a big leg. His average, his net, everything was really good and outstanding. That's why they signed him to that 3-year deal. They needed consistency because Presley Harvin hurt this football team so fucking bad, it was enough to make you vomit. But according to Nick in his article and according to some tweets and things that were put out from Cameron Johnston, I believe himself, showing him running at UPMC Sports Complex on the south side, the Rooney Sports Complex where Cameron Johnston was there, getting it in, working out, getting things moving, and a very encouraging sign from your punter out there moving, running on the turf of the Rooney Sports Complex is definitely something that is very encouraging. But again, guys, still may not tell you the tale whether or not Cameron Johnston will be back in the black and gold to start the season due to injury. Also, there was some other things. I wrote some things down that I wanted to talk about. This is something, too, that I took out of the Omar Khan interview. His remarks, not interview, just his press conference, his remarks in Indianapolis. Guys, he has no interest in keeping Najee Harris. He didn't blatantly say that. But all you people out there that want to see the Steelers pursue Najee Harris in free agency, you're beating your head against the wall there, because I don't believe that Omar Khan has any bit of interest in Najee Harris. Now, I will warn you guys, the Steelers will meet with many players from many different position groups this offseason ahead of the draft. You'll have visits everywhere, in Indy, in the building, everywhere. You'll have these visits, and tons of people will get talked to by the Steelers. One being Ashton Genty, the premier running back in this draft class. In my opinion, a guy that definitely a lot of eyes are on, is being interviewed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does that tell you that they're going to draft? Guys, they're going to interview a lot of people, but that tells you a little bit maybe of where they are going to go. But according to Omar Khan, with the way he spoke, with the way the words were coming out of his mouth and his demeanor, I just feel that they have zero interest in entertaining an offer with one Najee Harris. And I think that is something, that ship has sailed. And I think the Steelers understand the assignment at the running back position. And I hope that all of Steelers Nation can start to understand the assignment. When it comes to the running back position, my friends, it's about being young and having fresh legs. That's what it's all about. And being cheap. Being cheap. Those are the two factors, guys. Young, fresh legs, cheap. That should tell you, why are you going to go out there and pay double-digit millions for a guy that averaged less than 60 yards a game, I think, this season? Why? It doesn't make sense. And I don't think the Steelers are that stupid. They understand the landscape of the running back market, and I just don't think they are going to overpay for one Najee Harris. His production hasn't made you say to yourself, shit, we can't live without Najee. What would we do? You don't say that when you talk about Najee Harris. All right, guys, so we're going to start wrapping it up. I appreciate you all. If I didn't get to your comment, I truly apologize. We'll get to it next time. So get in here early, smash that like button, subscribe to the show, share the show. The earlier you get in here, the earlier that your comments inside of the chat box, that will mean that I should be able to get to it. A long time ago, I used to be able to get through them all, but I can't do that anymore. We get too many. So I try to get through. Thank you so much for the super chats. We will be back tomorrow. I'm going to work on this phone call thing, definitely. I forgot, so I put myself a note. I forgot 2 days in a row. So we are going to try that. Maybe we'll pick one or two people. Maybe I'll reach out to one or two people tomorrow and see if they can do it and have a question prepared, just to see if it works. So maybe we'll try it that way. I'm just afraid that when I do it, it's going to sound so bad. So, maybe I can practice it. We'll see. We'll see how it works. We're going to get it done one way or another, man. Big things are going to happen here. So, we'll get there. Again, thank you so much for the support tonight, guys. We need to get those likes up, though. We need to get that like button cracking, man. We were on a roll with likes. We were hitting 100 likes and going after that each and every night. So we need to get that back up and get that back rolling. Again, I apologize to anybody's comment I didn't get to. It wasn't purposeful. I go straight down the list. But we will get to you tomorrow on tomorrow's live show. Tomorrow, again, guys, I warned at the beginning of the show. Tomorrow, we won't be live till probably about 8:30. I have a youth basketball game for the team I coach, and we got a playoff game, so hopefully that'll all work out well for my kids. I'm very excited for them, and I hope they really crush it this weekend and really show out and just make some memories, man. That's what I'm hoping. So until tomorrow, guys, good luck to Chunky's Pizza, baby. We'll be rolling tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's what time our basketball game is, so we'll be doing that tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow on the live show. So thank you, my friends. Peace. See you on the next one.